Hey everybody, Phil Crute here, Comedy, Cigars, and Music. Thanks for joining us for 1st and 15th, Episode 2. I am joined by my co-host, Chap.
How's it going?
Good, how are you?
I'm good. My little hiatus, my yearly scheduled hiatus, as I like to call it, last day, winding down, trying to chill out.
Still staying busy though, doing Instagram interviews.
Yeah. I figured we get that in a little bit when I peruse the Instagram. But yeah, I've been doing a little bit of interviewing there just to keep the lights on a little, you know. Let people remember old Cap.
Staying busy. Didn't want people think you're in retirement or anything like that.
Right. Well, I want to keep my nose clean. Stay off the streets.
Off the streets is always a good place to be.
Right. Although, if you're going to be on the streets, Eugene, Oregon, might I recommend.
It's not a bad place to be on the streets, huh?
Apparently, there's people lined up to be that. So, but enough about the park across the street from my house. How have you been, Phil? You're not on hiatus. You're cranking out work on the rig.
Yeah, I'm not on a hiatus. Still kicking the day job. Not on vacation yet, and still doing the reviews. So
on the YouTube and
YouTube.
More power to you. So, I was going to kick off and be the whip of the show and focus us back on cigar news. What we do here through the lens. Taking a look at cigar news through the lens of online cigar media, of course. 1st and 15th. What's you smoking, though, before we get started?
I am smoking the Castagli Daughters of the Wind Pony Express 2020. It was a small batch cigar, limited edition.
I'm doing a lot with my hands, I realized. I'll try to stop. I talk with my hands a lot. I grew up in an Italian neighborhood. And I'm smoking. Do I hold this up? Because this will be on YouTube.
Yeah. I should show mine here.
Yeah, so do you have to do...
I think so. You have to hold your hand behind it. There we go. Here we go.
Does that focus it?
Got to get my head focused.
Okay. There we go.
See, this is why I edit out the focusing part.
That sure is captivating.
There we go. Look at that.
So, nailed it. Now that's a pretty band. It's a very nice band. Sorry, a little parched.
Stagley does good with the bands. They go to cigars too.
Yeah, they're just good, and so is India Motorcycle. And not COVID. It's actually sunny out today. We haven't worked together during spring, but expect allergies from me. So that's what that is. Just, don't worry about me. I'm fine.
Every so often I'll get an allergy day because I take allergy medicine for it, but I'll get an allergy day no matter what I do. The allergies just stick. And I'm the weakest when it comes to allergies. I feel like I'm going to die. So
you're a guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Enough said.
Probably not realistically going to die of allergies, but I think so during those times.
Patty, what if I were to tell you, Phil, before we move on, that my shoes match my my handkerchief?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Good man. So what are we focusing on in the lead story?
I think we're focusing on the Great Smoke. That was something small that happened.
That never ones to bury the lead here on 1st and 15th. We're going to kick it right off. We're going to kick it off big, and we're going to kick it off, dare I say, Phil, historically and epically.
Epically historic.
Epically historic, historically epic, big. I
did hear somewhere the Great Smoke was historic. I'm not sure where.
I think you probably heard it on the Great Smoke.
Yeah, that's it.
Which is a lot like, I don't mean to offend that I don't talk religion. I'm not coming down one way or the other on it, but it's a lot like the Bible telling you that the Bible is correct.
Well, would the Bible be the Bible if it didn't tell you it was correct?
Of course not, and apparently neither would the Great Smoke. Not the Big Smoke. Well, that's taken, but the Great Smoke wouldn't be the Great Smoke apparently without telling you how epic and big and historic it was. But you know, kind of in a way it was. I mean,
Yeah, sure.
length matters.
That's what she said.
Thank you. But beyond that, beyond just the sheer length of it all, it did have, let's see, it had a higher production value than 99.9% of cigar media offerings.
Yeah, they definitely put a lot of work into it.
That being said, as far as mainstream entertainment, I don't know if you want to talk about it in terms of how we talked about it privately, but you hit the nail on the head with what you had said, and I'll just leave it at not quite perfect for mainstream, but exceptional as far as production value for our little old cigar media.
Right. Yeah, I think the goal behind it was probably reaching, especially when you consider they were doing it. You know, the one exception they have, I think for sure, they were doing it live. So had it been pre-recorded, you know, that would have been different. But they were doing it live. I think overall, before we get into the nuts and bolts of like who was there and stuff like that, just watching pretty much the whole thing, like I did later.
God bless.
Yeah.
Again, not to bring religion into this, but just God bless.
Separation of church and cigar. No, but from a viewer's perspective, anything's hard to watch for, you know, over 7 hours. I think if I had a hand in it, which I don't and won't, but I probably would have cut out some of the entertainment and maybe just focus on the cigar stuff. I know the entertainment's kind of used for breaks for the hosts and stuff like that. So I guess,
right. But maybe they need less breaks if you trim it down to a svelte 3 hours.
Yeah, 3 hours. I think it would have been. I really think for how much they did aside from all that stuff, it still would have been as big and cool and historic.
And epic and historic.
Very epic.
Right. And I don't want to. I should probably preface this. I can't preface it now because I'm maybe shin deep in it. I'm not knee deep in it yet, but I don't want to come off like I'm sounding derogatory toward this production, towards A Great Smoke. I know what it is. I appreciate what it is. Yeah. But I am kind of reviewing it, I guess. I'm kind of taking a more critical look at it. So that would explain why I might be read as an asshole. But I'm simply trying to do my job as a professional asshole.
Well, I mean, that's the thing, too, though. I mean, anytime you look at anything, and I think overall they did a good job and it was cool, but I mean, anytime you look at anything, I mean, there's always criticisms to it, and I would think that them as the people behind it would be looking at it the same way. What can we do better? What, you know, maybe was a miss here? What was really good? What should we push more next year? So right. I don't think I know maybe sometimes in the cigar world, like it is with any other type of community, whenever there's something big like that, you know, you want to push all the positive and just kind of remember it as it being 100% fire.
And it was a first-time thing, so by definition, I suppose they hit the nail on the head. It is historic. So congrats on all that, and they did pull it off. And quite honestly, when I first tuned into it, I didn't tune in live, but when I first tuned into it, I was immediately impressed just to see like a set, to see like a legit stage set. Yeah, it's a light year step up. And then my critical nature, I guess, came in. But let's start at the top. I guess we had, of course, was it a co-hosting affair between Michael Herklotz and Abe Dab. I have a mental block against that name. I'm not even trying to be funny.
Yeah, Abe. We'll call him Abe.
Right, you're not going to even try it. You're the smart.
I don't want to. I get on there.
Tough.
Easy. I don't want to butcher the last name.
Right. No offense to Abe. I apologize. I bit off more than I could chew with that name, but it did remind me. I think what my stammer was it reminded me of like one of those banana words where you never know when to stop. Right.
Yeah. I wish I had a see. My last name is the exact opposite. People typically stop shot, which I think we've talked about before. Like they don't want to pronounce the T, or they drop something out.
Right, or they add an H because a lot of words end in a TH. Apparently.
Yeah. So mine gets cut short. It's either Carew or Kurt.
So Michael Herklotz, or as I now call him, the Herc. We had the Herc, and again, no offense.
Nope.
People know how I feel about the beautiful man that is Michael Herklotz and his future role as forefront figure of our beloved industry. But we had the Herc, and we had Abe, and what do you take away from just their chemistry alone?
Chemistry alone, I thought they played well off of each other. I mean, trying to think how to explain it. The only thing I can think of to explain it is maybe on Herklotz's side, where he was definitely, and not take anything from Abe, but he was definitely the charismatic one. Like, he was kind of the cheerleader, I think, between the two.
That's what he was there for.
Right.
That's what he was there for, obviously. And also to sell. And talk about
definitely a huge sales event.
And that's what it was. So he played you would say, a pivotal role in it, maybe even bigger than Abe himself. But I liked their chemistry more than their banter in a weird way. They seemed to legitimately like each other.
Yeah.
It seemed to be the first time they worked together. It did smooth out. And it was interesting because you had the charismatic guy and you had this stoic anchor of a guy that fits the description. And you didn't have a funny guy or a straight guy. It wasn't like an old-fashioned comedy duo. And because it felt less like a stereotypical show talking about the straight guy and the funny guy, it fell into kind of like like an old school telethon pledge drive kind of vibe, because it kind of just grinded itself out. It unfurled and unfurled and unfurled. But that's probably what they were trying to do. And my question with making it like 7 going on 8 hours or whatever the final runtime was, did they expect anybody to watch all that? Or were they hoping to catch ears a half hour here, a half hour there, and that's the repetitive grind of it all? I mean, you forged your way through it. I don't know how many people did, though.
Well, and I'll be honest, I took, between work and things like that, I took a handful of days to get through it. My guess is that, and just from listening to their back and forth, my guess is that they anticipated people trying to come in and out. And I think at one point they said the viewership hadn't really dropped. But I don't know how many people replaced, the people that were viewing and things like that. Because some of the people I saw post or talk seemed like they caught parts of it, that maybe did something else and came back. So I don't know the expectation would be for somebody to watch the whole thing. For one, that's just a lot to watch.
I just don't think.
Gone with the Wind and Titanic.
I think that expectation would turn into a hill that you die on, regardless of what your content, who you are, what you're doing, where you're doing it. You're not going to get 7 hours of eyeballs. But I could tell you, as a viewer who scrubbed through it a few times, just sliding the bar through it, there weren't many low points. They did a good job. They spaced out the interviews. They had some cigar guys on, like 6 guys maybe. I have a list. I don't know if I call it everybody.
I think 7 total, 7. Maybe. I think 7.
Not including the Herc. They had some. They had like a. I think what added to the telethon vibe was they had a little bit of a variety show, maybe a cruise ship entertainment feel to some of it, which I'm not sure needed to be there, because again, it's there predominantly to rest the staff, and if the staff is there a shorter amount of time, they don't need to rest. Right. But they were going for length. so they have to fill it. Pardon the pun.
Yeah.
So it's all very exciting. There was nothing egregious. There was no faux pas. There was not that I caught. There was no. I mean, at one point the guitar guy didn't know that he was plugged in at the top of the show. I don't know if you caught that. Yeah, he was doing a sound check or something. I'm not a musical guy, but I know the sound of somebody not realizing they could be heard.
Yeah, I think that was during Rocky Patel's interview segment.
Now, okay, so that brings us to something interesting. Rocky Patel, and I've talked about this before, very much the leader, the forefront of the industry that I have the Herc pegged to be in the very near future.
Yeah.
Rocky Patel came on. He came on quick. He came on, if he wasn't first, he was one of the first. I think he was first. I think he was curtain jerking.
Yes, he was first.
In professional wrestling terms. And to continue professional wrestling terms, it seemed a little bit like he laid down for that he put Herculots over. He put the Herc over. He didn't get very Rocky Patel, did Rocky Patel. He kind of stayed low-key. I'm not saying he wasn't good. I'm not saying he didn't seem in top shape, but he seemed to have a certain presence, a certain self-awareness that this wasn't his show.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think he definitely knew he was there as a guest. And I don't want to steal what you said, but I think you had mentioned, and I can't remember if it was mentioned in the show, but I think you mentioned it was almost kind of like a passing of the baton or whatever, too.
Yeah, that's very much the feeling I got. And there was some interesting body language, not to get too deep down a rabbit hole with it. There was some interesting, rather guarded body language. I think I sent you a screenshot of it.
Yeah.
When Herculots and Rocky Patel were on the couch together, but quite apart, with a knee up in between them from each.
Knee up on both sides, yeah.
Not saying there's any bad feelings there, but there's an awareness of what's going on. I think. Right. I really think what we saw was somewhat of a passing of the torch. And if that's the case, and I still have the Herc picked to be that guy, our it guy, I think he could have come off better. With the caveat, he was there to do a job and he did it exceptionally well.
Yeah.
I've seen him better in front of an audience. I've seen him looser. I've seen him cooler. I've seen him more present and just more the guy you want to hang out with. He was there to perform a role. He performed that role well. We didn't get full Herc, I don't think.
Yeah, like we said, it was a sales event. I think as a viewer, especially watching the whole thing, essentially, the sale thing got a little grinding for me. Probably a lot of people aren't going to agree with me on that, and I understand. But at points, it made it hard to watch because almost after every interview, they went right back into the historicness of the event, and then into some kind of sale. And then obviously, with all the people they interviewed, there was some type of sales pitch within each interview.
Right, they're there representing their concerns, and that's what they're supposed to be. Therefore, it helps everybody. Let me ask you real quick, Phil. Could you turn your volume up a little bit on your end?
Yep.
Recording live before a no studio audience. But
can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we covered that. I don't know how much you want to get. There was a couple of funny parts. They kept talking about, was it Rabbit Air?
Yes, Rabbit Air had a whole spot.
Right, like right at the top of the show, if I remember correctly, or very damn near the top of the show. And somewhere. Throughout, you're entwined with people remarking on how they don't see the smoke, they don't smell the smoke. There's no smoke. It's amazing. There's 30, there's 40, there's 50 people smoking all very close here in a closed set, and this rabbit air is incredible. And then the red meat lovers guy comes out cooking steak.
Right.
And those same people, what did they do, Phil?
I believe they could smell that.
They all smell the steak. And man, it smells good. And wow.
Rabbit Air discriminates. They had the cigar discrimination button on.
There's a hierarchy of odors in the Rabbit Air world, apparently, and I'm sure it's like a slot, like a little like dial you could turn to.
Yes.
You know,
steak gets right by.
So that, I guess that's that's a silliness. That's whatever. I expected people to call him out on that. I don't know if they did because, quite frankly, I don't listen. But that was cute to me. It was like a silly Billy kind of thing to do, you know. And it was a cool segment, all told.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you had the muscular guy selling a steak. What's better than that? And everybody's eating. What's better than that? I mean, what's more cigar than that? But and then I have Nick Perdomo making an appearance.
Yep.
What did you take away from him?
You know, I thought Nick Perdomo was similar to Rocky Patel's in the sense that they both kind of presented as kind of the older guys in the cigar industry, and I could be totally wrong on the Nick Perdomo thing, but I just kind of got the feel for him that maybe he's kind of wanting to step back a little bit to let some of the family take over. I mean, I might totally be missing that. But
I mean, Rocky is turning how old? Or just did turn how old? At the time of the show, he was about to hit a big one, and I forget.
Yeah, I forget too.
60, so,
60 something sounds right. Or 60.
So, I mean, I wouldn't want to be humping the road like he was doing throughout most of his career at 60 something. So that's just a product of time, and that's why you have guys like the Herc. For me, Nick Perdomo was. So there's a difference between there's a difference between underplaying yourself and being underwhelming. Rocky Patel underplayed himself. Perdomo, kind of underwhelming.
I could
just. I mean, you don't have to follow along. You don't. That's just like some of the notes I took and some of my remembrances. And speaking of remembrances, I do have a list of guests. If I missed anyone, throw them in, Phil. But yeah, and maybe maybe some of it is because I'm honestly, no offense to Nick Perdomo, though I don't know how you would take no offense to what I'm about to say, but no offense, not for nothing. I hear a lot from and about Nick Perdomo these days.
Yep.
And I'm going to leave that there, as they say. Steve Saka.
Oh, okay. Steve Saka, I would say. Might have been the highlight, maybe, just because he was talk about charisma. He got up there and he kind of just moved it.
The funniest comedian appearing at the show was Mr. Steve Saka of Don Barnes Tobacco and Trails.
Yeah. No offense to the comedians, just like with
no. You could offend comedians.
Steve Saka would say. Steve Saka maybe should have been on the stage.
He should have been, and he was, and he did take the stage. And he has this way of being kind of like an Eeyore figure, and you know what he's doing. He's soft selling, and woe is me, and he's nasally, and and I wouldn't pay that much for one of my cigars, and you know what he's doing, but you like him anyway. And that's how I read him, at least.
Yeah.
And it's just, he did say something about throwing away how many cigars?
He threw away boxes, and I don't remember the number, but I remember hearing him say that. And
I have it here. If I didn't take a wrong note, 10 to 11,000 cigars he went through. I thought
it was in the thousands.
If that is true, that would as well be epic.
And historic.
Then I have Terence Riley, of course, from Aganorsa, coming on the show, and excellent posture. I have a note.
Excellent, yeah.
Just fantastic posture.
Envious of the posture, actually, as anybody watching this video can see.
Great posture. Terence Riley, and I met Terence Riley in person. He's a really good guy, and we have some very similar interests. Were both philosophy majors at one time. We sadly didn't get time to talk about that because, Jesus, even philosophy guys don't want to talk about philosophy unless they're getting graded on it, But he has this feeling to me, and again, I'm putting myself out there. I don't want to take you with me, Phil. This is just me talking.
I'm here with you.
You know what I'm going to say, but he has this feel, and I'm not one of these guys because I don't golf, but I understand it as a phenomenon where You could golf like on a course that's very much a place to be, like a
right.
course to be on, like a bucket list course. And all you have to do to play this course is to sit through a little bit of a sales pitch. And maybe it's a timeshare thing, you know? And maybe, just maybe, Terence Riley is the guy with the PowerPoint presentation.
I could see that. I could see that.
Just maybe. But like I said, I'm just, you know, I don't want to take you with me. Don't agree. Just promise you won't agree.
Hold on, I'm gonna cast some light over on the other side. The one thing or a couple things I'll say about Terence Riley in the interview was kind of how you mentioned about him being a nice guy and stuff. He was one of the guys up there, and I don't want to take anything away from the other guys, but he was one of the guys up there that he kind of has that thing about him where he is obviously intelligent, and I don't mean that against anybody else. I'm just strictly talking about him, where he's obviously intelligent. Like when he's talking, it's like, okay, this guy's got things figured out. One thing that I thought was really what?
This guy must read.
This guy's read a book or two. This guy studied something. He studied something. No, but one thing I thought was cool about his talking about Aganorsa was, which I just thought was interesting, how he kind of said they either don't do a lot of limited editions or they don't do any because they have these select Aganorsa retailers. So instead of spreading themselves thin and having these limited editions that only so many people can get and it's just gone, they just distribute those to certain retailers. So those certain retailers that have X amount of support put into Aganorsa kind of get the benefit of that, which I thought was really cool, even though I'm smoking a limited edition. I'm just not a huge limited edition fan for that.
And there goes all your credence, Phil.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right out the window, carried away in a puff of smoke, so to speak. Yeah. No, I did understand that, and I do get that, and I agree with you. And like I said, having met him, he is quite the intelligent guy and excellent posture.
Excellent.
I mean, he really, it's a problem I have, so I could appreciate it. I'm a sloucher, like I said. I don't know if I said that before we started recording or not, but I'm
I can sit like this for about, you'd have to time me, but probably a minute. And then I'm immediately looking for a tabletop.
Right. I'm looking to where do my elbows rest comfortably, you know. So what's the big story and the lead story?
For the great
what do you think is the takeaway that we should have from the great smoke as we put a ribbon on this segment?
The only thing I can really think is, and this is just coming from a complete blank in my mind that I haven't heard before, but that it was historic and epic.
I didn't mean to lob such a softball over the plate for you. You could PayPal me a few bucks after the show.
I will.
But, you know, I think the takeaway should be taken away by people that are doing what we're doing. And I'm not saying we could all afford that type of production, but I am saying that everyone, including me, could step up their game just a tick.
Sure. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Were you listening? Were you busy over there, Phil?
No, I was listening. I was multitasking. I was trying to be Terence Riley, where I'm obviously intelligent. That's
right. Oh, yes. I'm only half listening, but I fully grok exactly what you're saying. So no, it's please understand you don't need my full attention for me to understand what you're trying to present. So yeah, so that would be my takeaway, and that's something that I'm going to take to heart myself. But it's also something that I safeguarded myself against because capitalist media, like I always say, is lo-fi and lovely. And now more than ever, that tagline should be apparent that it's a cop-out.
A cop-out that you're just not a gearhead, right? You don't.
But now it works. Yeah, I'm not some audiophile geek, you know.
So you're not thinking about listing your gear, putting a gear list on your on your webpage or anything?
On my rec list? No, I'm not. I'm recording off of a thing I brought down the block over there at Bi-Mart, my favorite store. Shout out to Bi-Mart, not a sponsor.
Yeah,
Bi-Mart.
Yeah,
But they could be. But they could be, because if I could be serious for a moment, which you might have to help me out here, Phil.
Yeah.
Person 15 is looking for sponsorship for advertisers. And I don't like saying it. I've really never said it before. This is a different thing that we're doing together here. It's not just me, but we are looking as a show for sponsorship for advertisers. So hit us up. So right. You could go to Capitalist Media at mail. That's MAIL.com. Or Phil, I don't know if you want to put your stuff out there too, or you just want to continue to run my email out.
Let's just run your email.
That's fine. That's fine. Speaking of production value, I forgot to put my overhead light on. If I get too dim, let me know, because I have the shades on because the light's coming in over there, so I should be okay. And if you forgot, Bi-Mart's over there. But the light's coming in from there. Bi-Mart's there.
Possible sponsorship over there.
Possible sponsorship over there. Just sunlight over there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Just sunlight. So,
before we end up on the Great Smoke, to be serious though on that, my takeaway, and I think I mentioned to you before, was community. I think it really drove the aspect of community in the cigar world and cigar community, not to use the word community while talking about community. But I think it drove that home, which I think is very cool. And also the whole donation thing they had going for, I'm sorry, I forget the exact name, but the Kids Cancer Foundation. Excellent.
Yeah, I mean, come on now.
Yeah.
You know. So, yeah, just it was good stuff, and community, yeah. And while I was half listening to you, because honestly, you don't require my full intelligence for me to grok. Exactly what you were saying. I'm thinking on maybe an even more personal level, it made me think about cigar media and cigar reviewers such as myself. Spot, my spot, your spot. We all spot for spot. What's our spot in cigar media?
Right.
Because it's not that. You and I, while we do this, we are never going to do that.
Right. Unless I start my own, one of us start our own cigar shop and work for, over a decade at it.
Right.
But I'm kind of past
family, friends, and whatever else.
I'm kind of past my prime to put in a decade of something new.
Well, I you know what? Funny, because I had a birthday over my hiatus. My hiatus. Did I just say it like that? My hiatus.
You did. I think the old Midwestern's rubbing off on you.
My hiatus. Anyway, so I had a birthday, and all along I thought I was turning 45, and I sat down in front of or behind my cake, and I looked down, and my special lady friend had bought those kitty-looking, I told you this before, but I'm telling the gentle persons out there, she bought those kitty-looking numerical candles. I don't know why I do this to further display numerical candles. And I looked down, and it's 46. Actually, it was 4D, because she put the 6 in backwards. Interesting to note. Kind of took me a second. And then I'm 46. Like, I aged a whole year. I aged 2 years over one birthday.
That's rough.
Whew. And now I'm over the hump. I was expecting to be on the hump for 365 days.
And you didn't even realize you rolled down the hump.
I just fell off the hump.
Yeah, right off.
It's a shame. I could have been somebody, but I'm here. No offense.
No.
So what is our role then as reviewers? You consider yourself a reviewer. I consider you a reviewer. I'm a reviewer. What do we do? What are we doing?
Okay, so I consider myself kind of a, I guess, entertainment reviewer. A lot of people might not agree with that. That's okay. I won't hurt my feelings. But
To each his own.
yeah, so I mean, my thing kind of goes twofold. You know, I want to entertain people because I kind of want to create a review that people would want to watch. And then as far as the review part, you know, I think unless you have certain sponsorships and things like that, I'm not saying you base your review off of your sponsorship relationships, but I don't think the reviewer is a salesperson. I think the reviewer is just basically a person that provides information. It's, hey, especially, you know, on the cigar side, hey, here's what I got. If that sounds like something you want to smoke it. If not, I mean, I totally anticipate that if I give something, maybe not one of my highest reviews, somebody might hear something in that review that they still want to go try it out. Okay, cool. I just provided you with information that maybe you didn't have because you haven't smoked a cigar before.
And you're the video guy. I'm predominantly the writer fella. And I just want to give you something nice to read. I wanted to serve an informational purpose, just like you said. I want you to be able to tell that I do have somewhat of a palate. I want you to be able to tell that I can relay what I'm getting from that somewhat of a palate. But if you don't agree with what I'm saying, I want you to at least appreciate that I could write well. You know, that I can present well, that I can do what I'm setting out to do, even if you don't agree with the end result. And I could say that I get emails from people quite often that don't smoke or drink, because I do the wine stuff too, but they like to read my stories. And now that I'm doing some audio reviews again, they like to hear my stories.
Right.
That's kind of cool. And, you know, I don't posit myself ever as a journalist. I'm not Cigar Coop, taking nothing away from him. I'm definitely not Half Wheel. I don't want to be. That sounds like a tremendous amount of work. And I just want to write. I just want to talk.
Yeah, some of the best feedback, kind of going off of that, you know, with the writing, some of the best feedback I get, I guess maybe not best, but most positive feedback that I get is I've had a handful of people, you know, whether it be DMing me through Instagram or maybe in my YouTube comments, say that, you know, when they were watching it, they forgot they were watching a cigar review. They were just enjoying the entertainment aspect. And
is it because you never actually smoked a cigar on camera that they forgot they were?
Hey, that was only the earlier videos.
Have we thoroughly explored that? Now, okay, moving on because we're lagging a little bit on time, but I do want to cover this. It was National Cigar Day on the day of my bar mitzvah, believe it or not. Back in, I don't remember what year because I obviously didn't remember how old I was up until a little bit ago. But I was born on the 25th, bar mitzvah on the 27th in my 13th year. And that's also National Cigar Day. And cigar social media, we'll say, really took to the National Cigar Day thing. You know? Almost perfectly meaningless to me, which I hate to put myself out there saying, but I'm not gonna front. You know what I'm saying? I kind of preferred National Pancake Day. I remember that one being fun because I did that with my kid.
Yeah, everybody loves
National Pancake Day. And I remember it the next time I see that it rolled around because I have no inkling of when it is now. But I know it's a thing. There's National Pizza, there's National this day. But National Cigar Day has a little bit, maybe more history than Pancake Day and Pizza Day and Corn Dog Day. Is there a Corn Dog Day?
There has to be.
Oh, if there's not, that's my cause.
I'm sure there is.
Okay. Well, we're going to have to look into that. And that's
look into it. I'm no Terence Riley. So look
no. Right, you're already slouching there a little bit.
I told you.
But Oscar Hammerstein the First is the impetus behind National Cigar Day. And he was, man, you just have to read about him. He is a Hammerstein from that family, the theater family. And he did that, did several other things, and also was a cigar manufacturer. and he made the rolling machine.
Interesting. That's cool.
I'm not sure if it was the Lieberman. I'm trying to find so I don't. Sorry, I'm going to be like firmly up my phone for a second. Not sure here on Wikipedia. They don't call anything by name, so don't quote me in saying Lieberman. I probably shouldn't have said that at all. But he also founded the U.S. Tobacco Journal. So let's hear it for Oscar Hammerstein, the first.
The first.
And a happy belated Cigar Day to you. But
if any of his ancestors are listening to this, we're very proud of him.
Yes, please send. I could do that tweet. Like one of my pet peeves when people tweet is they pretend for some reason or they're under the self-delusion that like famous people that they're tweeting about are listening. So they'll like congratulate professional athletes.
Yeah.
Like, way to go, Tom Brady. and like somewhere Tom Brady is scrolling through his phone and going, "Hey, Hot Jack 68 said congrats."
Yeah. Peter.
I was going to hang him up before that.
Yeah, Peter 1978 was really proud of me.
Right. Hey, check out what Matt _Smith _FiGuy28 said about my 28-yard touchdown pass in the third quarter. Wow, yeah. I was hoping somebody caught that one.
It was nice to be featured on SportsCenter, but it's really cool that Rock'em Sock'em 75 really thought I had a good pass there in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, it's really good that it's for the people.
Yep,
it's for the people. What else do we want to cover here? First of all, I'm commandeering this. Did you have anything you wanted to cover? I already threw out a couple of things.
While you're talking about kind of reviewers and stuff, you and I talked a little bit about the after show from Cigar Authority with bloggers versus podcasters versus bloggers, and how we kind of thought that was interesting. I actually thought they did a really good take, and their whole thing on that was, and I don't want to misrepresent them, but their whole thing on that, I think, was having a stronger community as opposed to trying to draw lines in the sand of whether you're this or that, which I remember talking to you about that, how it's been kind of cool, not to plug ourselves here, but it's the truth. It's been kind of cool that, you and I met, you were a writer, and I'm on YouTube, and we just kind of seamlessly connected that. We're both doing, you've been doing podcasts, but I started doing more podcasts or guesting on your podcast from that. So it was kind of cool to hear them talk about that and to kind of just think like, oh, me and Kev have kind of already bridged all those gaps seamlessly, no problem.
Yeah. And also it's a little bit like a late 90s sitcom.
Right, yeah.
Right. They're two friends, and one writes about cigars.
Yeah.
The other, YouTube's about cigars. I hate saying YouTube to mean video. Like, I feel like it's overtaken video, the idea of YouTube. Like, that's the only place you could do it.
Yeah, YouTube is. Sorry, I got a phone ringing back there. It's probably gonna ring again. YouTube is kind of. It's kind of made itself the hierarchy of video production, and I think I'm glad.
Is somebody going to get that?
I hope so. I hope so. I think people miss out the fact too with YouTube, which is YouTube has been a really cool thing, obviously, but I think people miss out the fact that there's people doing a lot of cool things with video and everything else. It's not YouTube centric.
Right, and to have it mean the same thing and then almost supplant it, kind of grinds my gears a little bit. But it's not my game, But it's just something I notice words, so I noticed that. No, but it's cool. We're with two friends. We drive each other crazy. I'm always talking about writing. You're always talking about YouTubing. But we come together at the end of the show in the 25th minute over podcasting, and everything is fine. And there's a laugh track. I don't know why there's a laugh track, but there's a laugh track. And we live in an incredibly expensive house
Yes.
for what it is we do for a living, Phil.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like in San Francisco, you know, like not the poor part of San Francisco.
Yeah, right.
Otherwise known as Oakland.
Yeah.
Did you just collapse over there?
No,
anyway.
I kicked my camera stand. So the phone ringing messed with my head, and then I kicked my foot. So in a second here, I'm just going to turn off the camera and it'll just be audio on myself.
It's all about production value and the throwing down of the gauntlet to step up our games. So, yeah, and I wonder, and I don't know, I'm so removed. Like, until you and I started talking, I barely looked, if at all, at YouTube. So if they were flicking any feces the bloggers' way, I had no clue. So I don't know if that was a little hyperbolic to make it sound like that, we were at odds across medium. But we're all doing the same thing.
Yes, and I don't know that I hear a lot of. I mean, not to disagree with Cigar Authority, because I'm not really. Because at the end of the day, to me, it was just more about overall the community. And but you even have YouTubers that have like beef with other YouTubers, and just in the cigar community, not even YouTube at large, which is kind of crazy because I don't understand that. And I even wrote a little blog about that.
Oh, that's right. Some news between the two of us. You started a blog since the last time we.
Yeah. It's going to be. It'll be very sporadic, just kind of writing as it comes to me, which is how I used to write whenever I'd write this stuff for myself. So this sporadic stuff, but yeah, it was just kind of. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to attack people that are doing the same thing as you, because and kind of like I said in that blog, I won't go over the whole thing again, but to me, it's like if you have your fan base and people like listening to what you do, those people will keep listening, even if somebody else pops up. And
if not, reassess.
Right. Yeah. If you're seriously and genuinely losing viewers or whatever to somebody else, probably more on you than them.
And how would you track that? Like, how would you actually track, like, Cigar Guy 5000 is pulling 28 viewers from me on the average weekly basis?
Yeah,
there's really no beef to be had.
Right.
Unless there's, like, okay, so social media stuff that impacted us. I was doing an interview on Instagram video, and a cigar guy, came in, and I kind of felt like he was trying to get attention in my presentation for his stuff, for his YouTube channel. At that case, I'm going to have to say something. Mm-hmm. But that's the closest I don't think I've had much beef like that, not to my face anyway. I'm sure people talk about me. I hope.
Well, I think,
about me.
I'll just say from the YouTuber side of it, I think sometimes we do ourselves a disservice on YouTube. From what I've seen some other guys do, and maybe I'm guilty of it myself, but I think YouTube kind of drives this culture of begging for attention. You know what I'm saying? And I think YouTubers are more prone to do stuff like that, like advertise themselves on somebody else's medium or forum than other people.
Right. And there's a lot of crossover, and they could be used to, maybe he assumes I'm looking to collaborate with somebody. Maybe, you don't know. And I do notice as a platform, YouTube does require that you put yourself out there like that. Like, I podcast, I might mention 10 seconds out of an hour-long podcast, subscribe.
Right.
Rate me 5 stars if I remember on Apple Podcasts. And by the way, go ahead and do that.
Yeah, go ahead and do that.
But I'm not doing it 5 times in a 10-minute video. I'm telling people to like and subscribe and click that notification bell and all that. So a lot of that, I think, is a functionality of that they bring over. And I don't take anything personally. And even that mild trespass, I didn't take personally. I just felt like I needed to remind the fella.
Right.
And I did it nicely. It's not like...
Yeah, you did it. Well, just like with most things, you kind of did it in a humorous fashion, because I was actually watching in on that Instagram Live, and I noticed it, and I remember because I actually have a okay relationship with that guy, and I just remember kind of cringing, like, oh no, the YouTube syndrome has come through now.
That's fine. That's fine. And anyway, we did glance over a topic that I want to touch on, but I want to touch on more social media. But I did want to also wrap up the show here kind of quick because I don't want to run too long. But I was listening to a recent Cigar Authority podcast, and I'm going to very crudely wrap this up. It was basically part of the premise of the show was what you should be smoking or could be smoking instead of a Cuban cigar. In other words, they were chasing that Cuban profile, that famous, romanticized Cuban profile. They were chasing it to Nicaragua. They were chasing it to Honduras. They were chasing all around the world that wasn't Cuba. What do you smoke instead of a Cuban? It might be cheaper. It might be better, you know. And my thing is, I come back to again and again, I'm also a wine guy, and I lament the underusage of terroir in the cigar industry, because it's simply a matter of terroir in more cigar parlance, growing region. Cuban tobacco is going to taste like Cuban tobacco. Dominican tobacco is going to taste like Dominican tobacco. Honduran, ditto. Nicaraguan, ditto. Smoke from where you like. Why are you trying to mimic the terroir over there with terroir over here?
Yeah.
It didn't make much sense. It eventually wound up being somewhat of a sales pitch because, of course, they're selling these cigars legally that you could get that are Cuban-esque. And what is Cuban-esque? I don't know. It's a Cuban. Cuban-esque, I guess you're looking for a slightly milder profile, a slightly more intricate profile. I would recommend, between the other growing regions, I would recommend a creamy Dominican. But smoke what you like from where you like.
Yep, exactly. Yeah,
you know,
just chasing that one. Yeah, just chasing the one thing. Or
why would you chase that one thing when you know where all of it is?
Right.
It's like you want to meet a pretty lady, and instead of going to the pretty lady meetup that you know happens every week on a Friday night, you go to like the cemetery on a Saturday morning, and then you go to the delicatessen on a Sunday afternoon, knowing full well that the pretty ladies all meet up on a Friday night, and you know where they are.
Well, and that's the thing that comes up too, because then you're sitting there convincing yourself that no, I like the chicks I'm finding at the cemetery. I really, really like them. You know, like
but enough about my 20s. It was a long time ago.
Long time ago.
Many moons.
And
not
apparently
appropriate anyone.
Apparently longer than you can even remember.
Apparently, well, I was only off by a year out of 46. I mean, if I was a first baseman, that on base percentage would be unheard of. Anyway.
Yeah, in the realm of baseball, you kill it.
Would I ever? So one other thing, talking about YouTube, Cigar Craig mentioned this of cigarcraig.com in one of our calls that wasn't recorded for the gentlepersons to hear. He mentioned something about he couldn't put any videos into his website because the embed wouldn't allow age-restricted videos.
Right.
I've noticed that on Cigar Coop now. I sent you a link to that.
Yep.
That's a big ding against this whole YouTube thing. And that's one bone I have to pick continuously with YouTube, because all these guys are glomming to YouTube, or all, not all of them, but there's a lot of guys that they think YouTube is the place to be. Mm-hmm. It's incredibly anti-tobacco.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't get it.
Yeah. That's a rabbit hole that I think goes further than tobacco. I won't get into all that, but yeah, YouTube. Okay, I'll just say YouTube as a platform, I think, is becoming less of a platform, and tobacco is just one of the victims of it.
Yeah, and alcoholic beverages are seeing it too. They basically want a very PG audience because that's how they could sell the most advertising space to advertisers. Can't really blame them. They're not the government. They can do whatever they want. They're private. They're a business. More power to them. But I would, if somebody was starting out today and asking me where to go as far as cigar media, I would point them to podcasting, because podcasting is going to be the last bastion of being able to put stuff out there that not everybody loves. For good or for bad, there's a lot of shit out there because of podcasting being kind of like the Wild West.
Yeah.
But that's where I would tell people to go. I wouldn't tell them to go to the written word because, quite frankly, I think I have that covered. Thank you very much.
Yeah, eliminate competition. I like that.
Right. You know, good luck. Yeah. I wouldn't do it. I understand the next person that starts a blog gets the internet police at their doorstep immediately. Don't risk it.
You know, I think it's hard to recommend any place for somebody to go if you're just looking at cigars, because everything's so, in my view, everything's so oversaturated, and I'm not going to sit here and pretend I'm not a part of that. You know, I do YouTube. I'm doing more podcasts now, and everybody comes out with a podcast or a YouTube channel, you know, across the board. So I think it's difficult. It's even more difficult to try to find your niche, you know, like you and I have talked about a couple times, like, what is it that people are going to like? Who knows? Who knows?
You're looking now at two guys, probably not at once, because most likely not being able to pull off a split screen, but you're looking alternately at two fellas that really don't know what people want to see and or hear or write. But one thing I did have is a bit of an epiphany on my hiatus. And my writing is going to get a bit more.
Good.
A bit more. Some people don't know, like I've talked about professional wrestling in my past. I've had quite the colorful past, which is good because now I'm old and I have very little future. But did some professional wrestling, did some comedy, did some chefing. Also, I have a couple of poetry books published. Been in some lit journals. I'm going to get a little wordsmithy coming up here, if that doesn't scare everybody away. So, because one of the things I learned about myself over the hiatus is I got a little bored writing what is ultimately quite formulaic. So, people do like formulas, so look for new formulas in my written work. If I could tease my own work here on my own show, my own co-show.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be good.
You won't even understand it. Nobody understands my tortured artist's soul. Recommendation time.
Yes, recommendation.
What do you got for a rec? And being the 40-year-old man you are, hey, Cap, before we start recording, by rec you mean recommendation?
I just wanted to check.
No, Phil. I mean rec. I want you to WRECK the entire show. Which you tried to do with the phone call and with the kicking. Anyway.
Hey, listen. I worked in a jail for a short amount of time, so rec means a completely different thing there.
Oh, we're not going.
No.
We're not going up that rabbit hole.
No, we're not.
If you catch my use of. Yes. So
recommendations. The one I have that was on my mind when you said that, and I did this review at the beginning of the year, but really good cigar was OM Cigars, and it's going to escape me now because I'm sitting here. I think it was Essential Blend number 2.
Essential Blend 2, that I'm quite familiar with the OM Cigars line. Shout out to OM Cigars. Yeah, excellent cigars. Essential Blend 1, Essential Blend 2, Essential Blend 3, Essential Blend, I believe, 4. Can 4 things be essential? Well, you tell me. Milk, bread, rice, eggs, pasta? That's 5. I gave you 5. So, of course, 4 things.
Yeah. Then don't forget just air and water, too.
Air and water, right. Right,
Yep.
right. We all have the human right to air, water, rice, beans. Probably we need more protein than that. Some kind of like
Probably.
a cheap protein. Anyway, yeah, but OM Cigars, I also have a cigar brand, and it's one you're familiar with too. And look at us. We're so knee-deep in the industry. We both know, like, I smoked it, you smoked it, you smoked it, I smoked it. Acosta Cigars.
Yep.
Yeah, I got a sampling of 3. What's the name of that cigar, Phil? I'm sorry, I'm going to lean on you.
La Laveria.
La Laveria.
La Laveria.
La?
Yeah.
Laveria.
Close enough. We'll take it.
Close enough.
Okay, obviously neither of us are Terence Riley.
Well, look at us. I'm like over here.
I'm taking my stand. I got somebody calling my phone.
I'm selling this many timeshares. And my boss is not going to be happy.
Yeah, I probably owe somebody a timeshare.
I'm going to be living in them when nobody's looking because I'm not getting money.
Yeah.
But anyway, so Acosta Cigars, I got 3. Look for a written review and a verbal, an audio, a podcast review. I got 3, smoked 1 fresh off the truck, as they say. Excellent fresh off the truck. I'm going to say nothing spectacular, a little bit of a tight draw. That should calm down. That should smooth out. And it's an excellent stick. I liked it a lot. It was meaty. It was chocolatey. It was very coffee, and it was excellent. It was very much expected from the blend, but it was an excellent rendition of that recipe. So Acosta Cigars, and also, what have I been drinking? Oh, well, you know, they're a sponsor too. What have I been drinking? Well, I'll tell you what I've been drinking. I've been drinking my favorite coffee.
What is that?
That is good. That is Global Delights Coffee. I have it all the time.
Did an awesome series with them, by the way.
And I enjoy it every time. Global Delights Coffee. And, yeah, we did the series, the coffee series.
Very good series, by the way. Very good.
We got some good reviews. And I thank you for saying that. Whether you meant it or not, I don't know. I don't listen to good feedback. I don't listen to bad feedback. I can't tell you that enough. In closing, we like to close.
Yep.
And why do we like to close? Because closers get the coffee. Global Delights Coffee. I'll stop now. But more importantly, we like to close on a high note. And what higher a note is there, Phil? People at home, gentle persons. Do you have a name for your followers yet, for your audience?
No.
I have my gentle persons.
I got nothing. It's usually hey guys, which I'm sure if there's any females or anything that listen, maybe take offense to that. But I've said that since I was like 5.
You're as good as canceled. Anyway, we like to end helping a fellow man, a fellow brother of the leaf.
Yes.
Why did I do that? My chair just got loose.
If you fall back, that'll offset. If you fall all the way back, that'll offset me kicking my camera and my phone ringing.
It really would, in spectacular fashion.
Especially if
nobody's going to remember that. Right, my checkered shoes will come up. I'm not flexible enough to get one of these. Anyway, we like to help people. I always forget to put out the call for emails. You like to throw my email address out there. If you have a question for us, caplutzmedia@mail.com, mail.com. Not G, not Y, just mail. Anyway, this is a question from the recesses of the mailbag. I almost called it the female bag. I'm so woke.
Yes. The person bag.
The person bag.
Person bag.
From the depths of the person bag. And I answered this publicly, and I'm now going to answer it privately. And I'm going to give the overall gist of the correspondence. that was not coming from a brother of the leaf. It was coming from a man married to a sister of the leaf, an SOTL.
Yes.
And this sister of the leaf had decided and told her husband, who was writing in, or who wrote in, that she had decided upon a SOTL tattoo. Rather large, Phil. Rather in the tramp stamp region.
Oh.
He didn't want to dissuade. He didn't want to dissuade the missus.
Why not?
Her body, her choice. You know. But inevitably, without getting grotesque or too boudoir or work too blue of a room, he's going to be seeing that tramp stamp. If you catch my drift. If you're picking up what I'm putting down.
I caught it.
Okay. What would you tell him? And then I'll tell you what I told him.
What would I tell him if he asked me? So what was the advice he was asking? Should he say something?
Should he, and what should he, if he should?
Okay. I keep my advice real simple when my wife asks me something. In that case, my simple response would be, I don't think it's a good idea. That's my advice. I don't think it's a good idea.
I would have to, I'm going to lay myself down and put you over. You're still married, divorced, not officially, separated, but we both moved on happily. My advice to him, that being said, was to say nothing and to grin and bear it. And her body, her choice. If pressured, always change the subject.
Yeah.
And you move on. You know, until she comes to you with regret or happiness in having done it, then you have her back. You're her ally. You're her supporter. You're right, it is bad. Let me call this tattoo removal artist that I just so happen to have spoke to already.
Almost
you see what I mean?
Almost immediately after you asked me.
Right, before the whole sentence is out of her mouth. Yeah. Or, I love it. And then you go, oh, you should get more. Because why not? You already got the SOTLs tramp stamped on you. Right. What's another one going to do? And then, I harken back in my old days, you know, back in my 20s with the cemetery chicks.
Yeah. Regrettable.
I had a girlfriend back then, and she had a tramp stamp. I can't remember what it was exactly, but I remember it was slightly off-center. And
that's not good.
Again, not to work blue, not to go boudoir, not to insult anyone, but I would spend many a lovely evening seeing if I could get it over to the center.
Just will it over?
I remember it was off this way.
I knew a guy that got one of those.
Oh, no. You see, if a brother of the leaf wants a brother of the leaf tramp stamp tattoo, you take his car keys. You sit him down, you tie him up, you do what needs to be done. You don't let that happen. But go on. I'm sorry.
No, that was the entire story. I knew a guy once.
That was the entire story. What a way to end on a high note.
Because I try not to look at it. Now, the one thing I will say, if I were to offer any more advice, which is a phrase that popped into my head immediately when you said tramp stamp, was and this would probably be not advisable. Just to say something like, well, those are still a thing, huh?
And it has barbed wire around the lettering. Right? Sure, honey. Sure.
Yeah.
Life is a ride, man.
It's
Life is a ride.
It's
Just
something.
hope it's centered. And I don't know how it turned out.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, I could get further down there, but let's cap it over here, if you don't mind the pun. Let's fill it over here. And unless there's anything you want to say?
No, there's nothing heavy on my heart right now that I can think of.
Nothing heavy on mine either. I'm light as a feather. I'm supple. And had a good time. Smoked a whole cigar. Excellent cigar. Indian motorcycle cigars. Habano.
Castagli, Daughters of the Wind. There you go. I put it down, so it's probably out because I've ignored it for a little bit.
Fantastic. And I have to say, I'm immediately filled with regret because I'm constantly trying to seem like a beacon of intelligence and integrity in programming. And then I tell a tramp stamp story from 20 years ago about one that was not on, exactly centered, and that I had to,
use your imagination. Yeah.
You shouldn't have to too hard with that.
Did you ask her if you can just go back to the tattoo guy and have him shift it?
Her tailbone?
Yeah. No. Well, I don't know. Can you? I don't know. Can you shift? Can you shift? How much is it to shift it?
How much you shift? Could you put a little more filigree on this side?
the barbed wire is just a little bit off. You could make this barbed wire bigger. I don't know how you.
Idea of fairy off to this side.
There you go. There you go.
And that's why they come here for answers to their questions, which they could send to caplewitzmedia@mail.com, apparently. And Phil, let's get out of here.
Let's do that.
All right. Good show. Oh, when is the next one?
Let's see. If this one airs on the 1st, and it's the 1st and 15th.
1st and 15th. I have a note here. Oh, I timed out. My screen locked up, and I timed. I have it in my 1st and 15th. This is the 1st. I'm not sure when the next one is going to be of this 1st and 15th.
Yeah.
Podcast.
We'll answer that question someday. Someday all will be revealed on the schedule.
I just don't know when.
Yeah.
Your guess is as good as mine. Thanks for listening, gentle persons. Oh, Phil.
Yeah.
Your website. Shout it out.
Yeah. ComedyCigarsMusic.com. ComedyCigarsMusic.com for all your comedy cigars music enjoyment. Perfect.
You said that almost like you didn't have an impediment. And also visit Kaplowitz Media at KAPLOWITZ.XYZ. And now for sure, gentle persons. Thank you. Very.